Are you serious, guys? Are you serious? We have some information, breaking information that we're getting our hands on that we're going to share with you here on YouTube. And that is, what is the intentions? What are the real intentions of Russia as it relates to Ukraine? And this thing has went beyond there's look, it's not just a cat and mouse game. There's a serious military strategy in place, and that Putin is already beginning to implement. I'm going to tell you about that in just a second. First, put a shout out real fast to www.agewithpaul.com. That's www.agewithpaul.com. You see, turmeric spice was revered by ancient cultures, and there's a good reason for that. It's the closest thing we've had to a real-life fountain of youth. However, you can't just use any kind of turmeric. This is why I highly recommend agewithpaul.com. Agewithpaul.com by BioTrust. This is the single best anti-aging turmeric supplement on the market. They've sold over 1.5 million bottles of this. And it's because it uses and extracts 46 times more effective than the typical store-bought turmeric, and so that it will restore for you a softer, smoother skin, more youthful looking, pain-free arthritic joints. It's great for your teeth. It's great for your hair. It's great for your fingernails. I mean, go right now to www.agewithpaul.com. That's www.agewithpaul.com. There's 51% off also. So go there right now. www.agewithpaul.com. That's www.agewithpaul.com. Okay, let me tell you what's going on. And I'm so glad for everybody here. I know that this is an unscheduled impromptu going live, but very important that I get this information to you. Last night's information, very, very, very interesting, and was very important that I shared that video with you last night about what's happening with Russia in Syria as it relates to its plan with Israel. The hook is in the jaw, and it's a prophecy alert, no doubt about it. But it's not the only place that Russia is making its move. Also with Ukraine, and we have to look at this because it is really huge. Now, there is some information that has been recently released that was not supposed to be released, by the way, of what Russia is doing. Now, Russia has been holding a last-minute military exercises near the commercial shipping lanes in the Black Sea that threatens to strangle the Ukrainian economy, according to international documents and from the Ukraine's Ministry of Defense that was revealed. Why does this matter? Well, with the eyes of the world on the massive buildup of troops in eastern Ukraine, this leaked memo shows that Russian forces are escalating their presence on all sides of Ukraine's border. They're massing massive amounts of troops in Crimea and massive amounts of troops along the border of eastern Ukraine. And now their ships are moving into the Black Sea. And it's not just ships passing through. These are military ships setting up and going to do massive military exercises through October. What? Choking off the cargo ships' supply routes for the nation of Ukraine. Guys, Putin is on the move while the rest of the world's asleep. And why does this matter? Well, you talk about the eyes of the world watching what's going on, but have you seen the eyes of Russia on Ukraine? And who is behind those eyes? Vladimir Putin, also known as Boot Scootin' Putin. Okay, now get this. Last Friday, Russia announced it intends to block foreign ships in parts of the Black Sea for military exercises through October. But this escalation says that the State Department spokesman has condemned this as an example of Moscow's ongoing campaign to try to undermine and destabilize Ukraine. You can't just tell all the foreign ships that are trying to get to Ukraine with cargo, you're not allowed to go right now into the Black Sea because Russia is doing a military exercises. These are international waters that a country, a sovereign nation like Ukraine, has to have a pathway for ships to come in for their cargo. And so Israel just can't say we're shutting down the Black Sea for 6 months while we do military exercises and cut off the supply routes for cargo ships going into Ukraine. Now you can imagine what it will Biden do. And this is huge. But knowing his relationship with Ukraine and both on a personal level as well as now as the president of the United States and the Biden family. So just days earlier, the Pentagon had called off plans to send 2 U.S. warships to the Black Sea. Remember when Biden said, I'm going to send in 2 warships into the Black Sea just to let Russia know that we're there? Then Putin stepped up his game, moving Russian warships into the same Black Sea area. And the United States canceled sending out, we canceled our ships. Why? Well, there was this leaked Ukrainian document assesses that the total area of Russian military exercises will take up 27% of the entire Black Sea, a proportion that has steadily been getting bigger and bigger, which is a sign of efforts to establish a de facto control over the international waters with just taking it. Now, the Russians are also leveraging civilian infrastructure for military purposes. So according to Ukraine, the document says that Russia has installed radars on natural gas platforms that it seized from Ukraine back in 2014 when it annexed Crimea from the Ukrainian government. So now Russia's using those gas platforms that was pumping natural gas. Not only are they stealing the gas, but they're using the platforms now to have better radar capabilities over the skies in Ukraine. Between the lines, radar systems on civilian infrastructure could allow the Russian military to establish awareness and the presence in areas where it shouldn't be involved, because it's the sovereign province of Ukraine. Now, so just this month, we know that Russia's state media had accused Poland of a provocative activities near the controversial and nearly completed Nord Stream 2 pipeline in the Baltic Sea. And also, U.S. officials who tracked these developments closely said that the weaponization of energy infrastructure in the Black Sea should be a warning sign of what's to come. If Nord Stream 2, which would bypass Ukraine and deliver Russian gas directly to Europe, comes to pass in the Baltic Sea. So in other words, what Russia's trying to do is eliminate the need for oil and gas to flow through the Ukrainian pipelines on into Europe. Russia wants to go around Ukraine, and then the oil and gas can flow from Russia directly into the European Union nations, bypassing Ukraine. So they're cutting off Ukraine's financial ability to pipe the oil. Now, this is what it's all about. Now, you have to understand, this is why the Biden administration is very much concerned about that, because of personal relationships they have with Burisma and some of these other companies that are in Ukraine, and the oil and gas flowing into Europe. They don't want Russia bypassing Ukraine. And to be honest with you, it's a bad move for Ukraine, because, man, it'll starve Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine will literally succumb to an economic meltdown in which Russia can just walk in and take it over and promise the people a better life if they fully succumb to Russia. Then Russia doesn't have to worry about even building completely, they don't have to continue build more and more pipelines through the Baltic Sea, which is way harder to do and extremely expensive. They just then take over the existing pipelines that are already going through Ukraine. Do you understand what this is all about? Russia is desperate for an economic infusion. Russia has to do something or it's going broke itself. It can't sustain itself. It has built a huge military presence with a lot of nukes, but not enough economy for the entire country long term. And they have to come up with a new way to get a cash infusion to start financially building themselves back up for themselves and their people. And I understand their strategy. Turkey's trying to do the same thing, trying to steal the Syrian oil from northern Syria. And oh, by the way, Russia's trying to do the same thing in Syria also. They want that Middle East oil, and they don't want anybody bothering them. They want to control Syria. They want to keep Assad in power, and they'll push back the Israelis if they have to. Matter of fact, they want the Israeli land at the end of the day because of the richness of the reserves of oil that are there, and the gold that's in the mountains, and other great things that they could acquire. But that's step 3. I see it as a three steps. 1, control Syria. 2, control Ukraine. 3, invade Israel. And that's Ezekiel 38. And they'll do it with the help of Iran. They'll do it with the help of Turkey, which is right in Ezekiel 38. So what's happening right now is biblical prophecy is moving. And I don't think everybody gets caught up in all the politics and all the talking heads on the cable networks and all the personalities, but it's a real deal here. Now, what Biden has at stake is not really the sovereignty of Ukraine. What Biden has in stake from a president of the United States standpoint is a personal deals he has set up with the Ukrainian government to continue to get a piece of the pie as that oil flows through Ukraine. And in return, he stabilizes Ukraine, makes them a stronger nation, protects them with our military so that they live peaceably. And so that, he's doing good while being fed himself heavily. You can see what his concept is with the family, and he's using the U.S. government to do it. Is that the best interest of the United States military? Some might say no. Some might say yes, because a weaker Russia and a stronger Ukraine is actually good for Europe and the United States. Okay? I can see why that would be a position. And especially Poland would say that, because they've been invaded and they've been slaughtered by Russia before. This is what's happening. But according to prophecy, it appears that Russia is going to get this done, because they come down out of the north and they will invade in the Middle East, and they will make a run at Israel. In the great battle of Gog and Magog, they will try to take the Holy Land completely, because they want to be, it's a move they're going to do. And why are they going to do it? Because God put a hook in their jaw. Now, let me just say something to you all right now. In 2014, when Russia made a move, when Putin made the move to seize Crimea and to start the process to squeeze for eastern Ukraine, guys, you do know there was a conversation between Vladimir Putin and then President Barack Obama. And actually, before that, it happened actually in 2000 and I can't remember the exact date, but the guy at that time was Medvedevich, and he told Medvedevich, he said, tell Putin to wait, just wait a little bit longer. I have to get through one more election, and then we can go forward. Okay, you guys remember that conversation? So this was being discussed at that time, but that had nothing to do with Ukraine. That had to do with other things that they were working on. So at some point, Putin said, forget that. I don't want that plan. I'm going to do my own plan. And he went in and he took Crimea in 2014. and the battle's been going on ever since for the last 7 years over eastern Ukraine. And then Putin, of course, the very next year, 2014, he made his move on Ukraine. 2015, he moved into Syria, right in the middle of the Arab Spring, and he wrecked Obama's party at that point by stopping the overthrow of Assad, securing Assad, bringing the Iranians in to help him, and slowly taking ISIS out of the picture, along with the United States taking ISIS out. The United States secured their oil fields up in the north. That's why Rex Tillerson was actually brought in to be Secretary of State under President Trump. Trump made sure the U.S. interests were protected, and they were. And Putin took the rest of Syria for his interests, and he did. But he also empowered Iran, and now he's making his next move. This is huge what's going on, guys. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Now, don't forget, get your Climate Chaos tickets. Do it right now. Get your tickets now. Be sure you're ready. The webinar starts Friday, April 23rd at 6 p.m. It's released. You want to have your ticket bought and be ready to receive your link to watch this webinar on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Get your ticket today. God bless all of you. I love you guys. I got to go get my treatments done. I'll see you later. God bless. See you later tonight.